NFL season has officially came to a close with my least favorite team in the National Football League winning the Super Bowl, and that is okay. That's okay. We're gonna just smile through the pain, and that's about it. But welcome back to another episode of RS Sports Talks. There's so much to talk about with the NBA trade deadline, which obviously happened last week, but we got a lot to talk about, so let's get into this. Welcome back to another episode of RS Sports Talks. My name is Rylan, your host of RS Sports Talks. I do apologize that I haven't posted in 2 weeks. This is I think 2 weeks from today was the last upload. No, I think it was a Wednesday actually. Might have been. Doesn't matter. I do apologize that I haven't uploaded. I have been going through a couple things, a lot of things emotionally. I did lose my cat. Which sounds silly to a lot of people, obviously, but I did lose my cat, my childhood cat that I've had for 13 years, so that was a tough loss for me, and just took a lot of heartache and a lot of healing, and obviously still healing from it, so that definitely, that's where I've been, but I do apologize for that, and we are going to be more consistent. I am going to be streaming after this is posted, so check that out. Link is in the description and in my bio on YouTube, but I will be streaming on Twitch. Hopefully going to be getting more clips to post on TikTok and all that, so that's stuff to look forward to. But enough of the yapping. We got a whole podcast to yap, but let's yap about some sports. So I am going to switch it up today. We're going to talk about the NBA first. So it's funny because the list I made, like the paper that I ended up making because I list out my outline for things I want to talk about in my podcast, and there's some things in here that I didn't update, like top centers the Lakers could get, which they did get a center, and then the trade obviously ended up getting. We'll end up talking more about that, but I have a theory about this obviously the Lakers-Mavs trade. It's not new news. It's not something that I'm going to just be like, oh my God, let's talk about this right away. But it is going to be the first thing I talk about because it is the most major thing that has happened that ever. This is honestly, that was the most surprising trade, the biggest trade just ever. No trade like that has ever happened because the thing about it is there was no trade rumors. There was no Luka requesting a trade. There was nothing like that. Luka's unhappy. There's nothing. The Mavs were fifth in the West, or they at the time when the trade happened, they were fifth in the West. It wasn't a trade that made sense, and I was trying to talk myself into thinking maybe the Mavs did get better, and this was a good trade for both sides because it's obviously a good trade for the Lakers. The Lakers get a young superstar that they'll be able to build around once LeBron ends up retiring, which could happen this year, could happen next year, could happen in 3 years. I'm not sure yet. We will see on that. But the point is, it helped the Lakers' future because they do have a bona fide superstar that they'll be able to build around for at least 10 more years, probably, I'd say. I'll give Luka at least 10 more years. The Mavs, on their end, it didn't make sense, even in a short-term standpoint, because Luka to AD is a downgrade. I'm sorry. I mean, obviously, yeah, you got a big man, which is good. But going from Luka to AD is a downgrade, obviously. They are both hurt. They traded glass for glass. But the trade just did not make sense for the Mavs. And like I said, I was trying to convince myself maybe the Mavs did really get better. Kyrie's going to have the best big man Kyrie's had ever, probably. But AD got hurt in his debut because they forced him back, basically. So this is just this trade has... the more that comes out, the more stuff that happens, the worse this trade looks. Like that, right when it happened, it looked bad for the Mavs. But then, it came out. They didn't even talk to Luka about it. Luka found out about it when the trade happened, and then it came out that just a bunch of different things happened, and it ended up this. It's not looking good for the Mavs. I actually, my manager at my job has a theory that so I guess the Mavericks wanted to connect a casino to their arena, and then Texas basically said no. So my manager has a theory that he thinks the Mavericks are basically trying to lower their team value and basically relocate the team to Vegas so they can put a casino, obviously. I don't know if I think that's the case, only because why would you leave a major city? Probably, I don't. Is Dallas more major of a city than Vegas? I think so. Dallas has 3 other major sports teams. Like Dallas is that just wouldn't make sense to me. But it is something to maybe. It's like a conspiracy theory, like maybe you don't necessarily believe it, but it makes you go and it made me go for sure. So the Lakers obviously do need a center though. Trading AD, I think their starter right now is Jackson Hayes. Who's their center? I'm not even sure, but I really thought they were gonna end up trading for Mitchell Robinson. That was who I like had my money on, and then I was thinking maybe Vucevic or Valanciunas, something like that. I even said Clint Capella could be an option, which he's kind of washed. A lot of those guys are washed, but the thing is the Lakers don't need they don't need like a Jokic center, you know what I'm saying? Like they just need someone who can get boards and play some defense. That's all that you really need. Obviously that didn't end up happening. Well, it did, but the trade ended up not coming through. And I don't know if the Lakers are. I wouldn't say they're cooked. Like they'll still make the playoffs. They'll still make noise, but it's just they got no defense, man. Trading AD is just they got no defense, man. We're gonna see tonight though, as I'm recording this, and this should hopefully. I aim to always have these posted by 7 p.m. Eastern, so hopefully this will be posted by that time. But we will end up seeing tonight. I think it's at 10 o'clock Eastern is when the game's gonna end up being. But Luka is debuting against the Jazz, so it's gonna be interesting. Excited to see it. Excited to watch it. So definitely gonna be fun to watch. I did make a joke. Maybe they called Dwight Howard, and do I think that's gonna happen? No. But is it ridiculous? I don't think it's that ridiculous. I mean, like I said, you need someone who can get boards and play defense. That's what Dwight Howard can do. Even maybe at the age of, how old is he? Is he like 39 now? Probably. Other trades that happened was obviously De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs. That's going to end up, I think it already has ended up paying off as a pretty good trade. He's already debuted, but obviously that's what Wemby needs is a nice point. He obviously had Chris Paul before, but now he has a younger De'Aaron Fox. It's going to end up being good for their future, I think, for sure. And then Levine to the Kings was a good one as well. Definitely. I wouldn't say that's a Fox replacement. I don't know if it's an upgrade. It was definitely a good trade, I think, on the Kings' part, though. The Kings needed a trade like that because they've just been really struggling offensively, I feel like. And they needed to make a splash. I really thought Jimmy Butler was a lock to the Suns, but I didn't realize that. I guess what happened with the trade talks there was Butler would have went to the Suns. It was a three-team trade they had negotiated where Butler would have went to the Suns and Durant would have went to the Warriors because the Warriors were trying so hard to get a superstar. And they ended up getting Butler, obviously, Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. And he did debut and ended up it's going to end up working out, I think, for the Warriors this season. They'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win the chip. I don't think it's that good of a trade. You know what I'm saying? Like the Warriors, the West is just too good. They're not going to beat OKC. They won't beat. They'll probably beat LA. No, I don't know if they will. They're not beating. The Warriors are not beating LA. What am I talking about? They're not beating LA. They're not beating OKC. They're not beating Denver. I don't even think they're beating the Timberwolves. I don't even know if they're beating the Mavericks. I don't know why this is turning into me just bashing the Warriors. But my point is, the trade will end up, they'll still make the playoffs. It's going to look like, it's not going to end up being a bad trade where they, end up falling off a cliff. But it's definitely, I don't Jimmy Butler, and I don't even know, like, I can't even collect my thoughts about the Warriors because, I don't know why I said Warriors like that. Because Jimmy Butler and Curry 5 years ago, that's winning a championship easily. And it still is a good duo now. Like, I'm not saying Butler's washed, I'm not saying Curry's washed necessarily, but they're just not what they were, I guess. So it's going to come down to, honestly, Butler hasn't been playing that well, in my opinion. He's been playing pretty average, maybe below average. It's going to come down to if he shows up how he usually does in the playoffs and just turns into an animal the way he has in the past for the Heat. If that happens, the Warriors have a shot, but we don't know if that's going to happen. So we'll have to see because Butler isn't the primary scorer now that he's on the Warriors. I was actually talking, and this was a fun discussion, and someone I'm actually interested in, people who sit here and watch this and actually listen to this podcast. Who would you build if you had to pick one player in the NBA to build a team around? Who would you pick? I was talking about this with my coworker. He said Luka would be who he picked. I don't know if Luka. That's not ridiculous. I think Luka is a good pick. I honestly think I'm gonna pick Anthony Edwards. If I had to pick, anyone in the league that I could build around right now, probably Anthony Edwards. Cade Cunningham's pretty good. I really like Amen Thompson on the Rockets as a biased Rockets fan, obviously. I really like our young core. And that was something I wanted to talk about too. The Rockets have been cooking. I think they were cooking. I don't know if they still are, because they were. I know they beat like the Celtics. They beat a couple good teams, but I know they lost to the Knicks. And they lost to the Mavericks. They lost to the Tim. Ooh, wait, they had a little losing streak. Ooh. Yeah, they are on a losing streak. This is not good. I didn't actually realize it. They dropped down to 4, but they have a young core, as I said. The thing about the Rockets is, they are gonna make the playoffs most likely, but even though they're gonna make the playoffs, I don't expect them to make a lot of noise. They'll probably get. If they don't get first rounded, they'll definitely get second rounded. They're not beating any of those top teams in the West. So, but like I said, as I was talking about, I would pick Anthony Edwards to build a team around for sure. But there are a couple of players on the Rockets. I was a biased fan, I would say, and I mean Luka is a good pick. Someone would said Giannis. I'm like, Giannis is like, isn't he old? Or he's not old, but how old is Giannis? How old is Giannis Antetokounmpo? Yeah, he's 30. He unked damn near. So, switching the topic, obviously. Or, I don't know why I said obviously like that. Switching the topic to NFL. The topic that I'm a little more knowledgeable about. I'm not saying I don't got no knowledge about NBA, but I'm more... If I had a guest on here talking about NBA with me, I could hold the combo a lot better, I guess. I'm not like, I don't know every little stat about NBA the way I do NFL. So let's talk about this Super Bowl. I have my LED lights as green right now in honor of the Eagles, and I should have probably just turned it like this for the NFL part of the video, but it's pissing me off that it's been green in here this whole time. So we're just gonna switch it to blue, and we're going to move on. So, the Super Bowl ended up being, I wouldn't say a letdown. It just ended up being an Eagles defensive masterclass, which turns out to look like a letdown, considering the fact that the score was 40-22. And that sounds like a blowout already, but that's being generous for what the score really was. I mean, that game was 40-6 at one point. That game was that was the Chiefs got manhandled. That was rough. That was rough to watch. It really was. And I didn't enjoy watching it because I'm a Cowboys fan. Everyone else that hates the Chiefs enjoyed watching it. I don't hate the Chiefs. I'm not one of those. But I just didn't enjoy watching the Eagles dominate like that. When I watched the Bucs do it a couple years ago, I was all for it. But I don't even. It's weird because the reason the Chiefs got beat so bad by the Bucs a couple years ago is because their O-line was so bad, and then they went out and upgraded their O-line so much, and then here they are now. O-line sucks again. It's like, what did we learn? But it's because they have so much money invested in that defense at that point, I guess. I mean, they're paying Mahomes so much. They need to. I don't know what the Chiefs need to do going forward. I really don't know what my first step would be because Mahomes doesn't have very good weapons. He has Xavier Worthy, obviously, but that's it. I mean, Kelsey's getting up there in age. Kelsey might even retire. There's rumors about that. I think Kelsey wanted to retire after that game. He wanted to propose and retire, and then they lost. And he's like, well, can't have this dramatic ending now. But, like, Mahomes' weapons other than Xavier Worthy, and, well, he has Rasheed Rice, too, but he's going to have to get paid soon. So that's something. And then the O-line just isn't very good. They're going to have to pay Trey Smith this year. Creed Humphrey's contract, I think, is up next year. Joe Tooney's get up there in age. They're just the Chiefs. This is going to be a little dark period for them, I think. They'll still be good. I'm not saying they're not going to, like Mahomes is going to suck for the rest of his career. Like, I just think they're going to have this little dark period where they're still going to make the playoffs every year. They'll still be 10, 11, 12 win team. But they're just not going to get over the hump necessarily because of that O-line. It's going to get to that point, I think, because they are going to have to start losing people, and they're going to have to start paying people that they drafted and that are on rookie contracts right now. And they're going to have to start choosing who they want to keep and who they want to basically just let walk. So I think the Chiefs are, for the next, probably 2 or 3 years, going to be in this little period like they were before. Cause you got to think, Mahomes won that first Super Bowl against the 49ers. And then there was a 2-year. No, they went to the Super Bowl again, but they had like a 2-year window where they lost the Super Bowl and then they lost to the Bengals in the playoffs. That's what I mean by dark period. I don't mean a dark period as they're gonna miss the playoffs. I just mean they're not gonna make the Super Bowl probably for like 2 or 3 years, I'd say. But I'm not sure either because the Bills, I don't know. The Ravens can't really win these big games. The Texans, I'm a little optimistic about. I don't know. The AFC's weird, I feel like. There's teams that could be good, but they necessarily aren't. Like the Jaguars. I thought the Jaguars were going to be like a first seed team this year type of thing because of how close they were to being one last year, and then they sucked. So I couldn't even predict who's going to be the biggest threat to the Chiefs next year, obviously. But if I had to guess now, I'd probably say the Bills. But Kellen Moore is going to be going to the Saints, it looks like. It hasn't been officially announced, but it's what the reports are all indicating. So the carousel has officially ended, the coaching carousel. I'm not mad at any of the hires except for one. Okay, I'm lying. I'm not even mad. I'm not mad at the Brian Schottenheimer hire. I'm more nervous. I think nervous is the word I should use here. He has no one else wanted him. Obviously, like he's not a highly coveted coordinator. He wasn't calling the plays last year. I don't. I will say he did hire Matt Eberflus to be the DC, which is a good hire. I can't remember the name, but he hired the Cardinals offensive line coach to be our OC, which just means he's going to be our run game coordinator, I think. That could be good too, especially if we end up getting Genty. So there is good things. I guess I could talk about there's good signs about the Cowboys. Their future isn't terrible, and he did say he wants to focus more on play action, which is where Dak thrives. So it's not necessarily a bad hire. It's just the only hire that I have no clue about. Ben Johnson of the Bears, I think that's going to be a great hire, especially with Dennis Allen being his DC. Great hire. Liam Cohen of the Jaguars, even, I think that's going to be a really good hire. Because people are like, all making fun of his Duval. Don't get me wrong. Oh my God. Oh my God. I was actually laughing like hysterically when I saw that clip. Jacksonville. The community. Duval. Oh my God, bro. I don't know why I just did the whole thing. But no, I honestly though, I think he's gonna get the most out of Travis Etienne. I'm saying him first. He's gonna get the most out of Travis Etienne, and he's gonna get the most out of Trevor Lawrence because we saw the scheme he ran in Tampa. It's gonna be a similar scheme if I had to guess because they honestly have similar pieces. You got Brian Thomas. I don't know if I would compare him to Mike Evans, but you got Brian Thomas as your wide receiver 1. You got Christian Kirk, if they hold on to him. I have seen trade rumors, but you got Christian Kirk in the slot. That's your Chris Godwin, which even though Chris Godwin didn't play most of the year. And then you got, who's your other receiver? Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is your, who's the Bucs wide receiver 3? McMillan? Did McMillan go to the Bucs or did McMillan go to the Patriots? I can't remember. I think McMillan went to the Bucs. So, anyways, what I'm saying is they have similar pieces that he can run a similar scheme. and I think that he's going to end up getting the most out of Travis Etienne in that scheme. So that's something that I would be excited for as a Jags fan. Mike Vrabel, obviously, to the Patriots. We knew that was a good hire. We've seen what he can do with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Imagine with Drake May, and once he gets Drake May a line and weapons, and that defense already wasn't a bad defense either. So Mike Vrabel's going to end up being a good hire. I don't know about Josh McDaniels though. We'll see if that works, because I will say he got carried by Brady his whole career, and then he did have that one good season with Mac Jones, which got him hired to be the Raiders coach. He made Mac Jones look good, which I'm not saying Mac Jones is bad necessarily, but he made Mac Jones look very good that season. So we can clearly see that he can be a good coordinator. It's just we'll have to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? Who else why am I like blanking out on coaches that got hired? Oh, Pete Carroll to the Raiders. I like that. I like that one because he's a culture changer. He's gonna come in. He's not gonna come in there and do no tanking. He's gonna come in there and try to win day one. So I think they're gonna end up getting Sam Darnold. That's my early prediction. I know I've had him going to the Saints. I've had him going to all these different teams. But I think if I had to make a prediction as of right now, I'm gonna say Sam Darnold to the Raiders. Just makes the most sense. Just because they're picking at 6. They're just so out of reach of a quarterback, and I don't think it's worth trading up to 1, where you're gonna have to most likely trade one of your key players like Max Crosby or. They're not going to trade Brock Bowers, but yeah, you'd probably have to trade Max Crosby if you're going to trade up to 1, and that's the only scenario I see them getting a quarterback, because I don't see Shador or Cam Ward getting out of the top 5. Whether it's from trade up or what, because I think either the Titans are going to take a quarterback. The first overall pick is going to be a quarterback, is what I'm thinking. I think the Titans are either going to take them or they'll trade that pick to the Jets, Raiders. Maybe even the Giants, if the Giants want to jump the Browns, something like that. And then I think the Giants are a lock to take a quarterback in that 3rd spot because I think I think the Browns are going to take Abdul Carter. Personally, that's what I think is going to end up happening. I don't know where Myles Garrett's going to go. I don't know if he's going to get traded. I think the Browns really like Abdul Carter, so I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. But what I'm saying is I think the Giants are going to get a quarterback, and then that first pick is going to be a quarterback. I don't know if it's the Titans. I don't know if it's the Raiders. I don't know who it's going to be. But the Raiders are – if I'm the Raiders, I'm not trading Max Crosby and future capital to take Shador Sanders. He's not worth it. He's not. I would sign Sam Darnold, maybe like a 3-year, $90 million? Maybe like a 3-year, $100. That's what, $35 a year? $33 a year, $34 a year, something like that. That's not a bad contract. Give him that. Draft. You can you can maybe take Genti at 6, or you can take McMillan at 6, and then take a running back in the 2nd, or even. That just makes a lot more sense, as I said, because Pete Carroll is going to want to win day 1, and drafting a quarterback and then building around, or signing a quarterback and building around him like that is a lot. You're going to win a lot faster doing that rather than developing a quarterback. And it's what I think is going to end up happening. We'll see. And like I said, the Pete Carroll hire is going to end up working in the long run, I believe, because he'll be able to change that culture, and they'll probably, while he's there, end up bringing in someone that can, someone like bringing a running back or quarterbacks coach or someone that's going to be his successor. I'm not sure, but end up being the next coach when Pete Carroll decides to retire, because he is 74 or 73. He old, man. He old guy. There has been a lot of trade rumors. Deebo Samuel's just requested a trade, so that's going to be interesting. I'm not really sure where he's going to get traded. I as a Cowboys fan, I honestly would not mind him as long as we're like not trading a lot for him. But I don't know if he would want to come to the Cowboys, But I wouldn't mind him as a wide receiver too at all, for sure. And that would take the stress out of, because we want to draft a wide receiver too, is what the Cowboys came out and said in the first 2 rounds. But if you sign a good enough wide receiver too, who you can get maybe 2-3 years out of, don't waste a day 1 or 2 pick on that. Like, we need a win now. Dak Prescott doesn't have that many years left. He's 31. He might have 4 or 5. How old is he? 31? How old is Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott is 31
He's
years
31.
old.
He'll be 32 soon. He probably has about 4 or 5 years in him, maybe if we're lucky. So we need to win now. So I hope. But that would be a good one. I would like the Steelers. That would be interesting. The Texans, especially because they. Oh no, I'm tripping. No, no, I'm tripping. My bad. I completely. I was thinking of a Rams coach who. The OC. But the Texans would make sense for sure. The Steelers, as I said, Cowboys. Yeah, I'm not. Debo Samuel. The news just came out so recently that I'm not sure. Cooper Kupp. There's a lot of teams he could go to. The Broncos would make a lot of sense. The Steelers. Cowboys have been announced as an option. Maybe the Chargers, the Bucks. Who else? DK Metcalf, I think, was I see him every year as kind of one, but this year it kind of would make a little more sense. Maybe he could go to the Raiders. I saw the Packers want to trade for a wide receiver one, and he's going to be one of the top ones. Garrett Wilson was a candidate for a while until Aaron Rodgers it came out he's not going to be coming back, and I think him and Aaron Rodgers' relationship was a little rocky, and that was why he might have requested a trade. But I think now that Aaron Glenn is in New York and trying to shift that culture and kind of rebuild things, I think Garrett Wilson's there for the long run. But I don't know because I don't know what the Jets are going to do at quarterback. That's the only team that I have no prediction for because they're picking at 7. I don't think they're going to sign Sam Darnold. He's not going to go back there. I think Justin Fields is going to end up back in Pittsburgh. I think Russ is going to end up on the Giants. I don't know who the Jets realistically could get. Maybe Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to end up in Cleveland, though. He could end up in New York. I don't know. They're going to probably, though, if I had to guess, end up just either sticking with Tyrod Taylor or, they could sign Jameis. They could sign Kirk, but I think Jameis wouldn't be that bad, honestly, for maybe, sign Jameis for a year and then just draft a quarterback next year and hope Arch declares. I don't think Arch Manning is going to declare for the draft next year. I really don't. I think next year's draft is going to be Nico, Garrett, the Nuss Bus, and Drew Aller. Those are going to be our top 3 quarterbacks next year. I don't even think Carson Beck's going to be in there for real. I don't think Carson Beck is that good in my opinion. But he might be. Maybe he might be wrong because I talked all this about him before the season, which he ended up being pretty bad. But he might be wrong. I don't know. But that's who if I had to predict right now who the top 3 would be, that's who I'm going to say. Because I don't think Arch is going to declare personally. But we'll have to see. And it's honestly probably going to come down to who gets the first pick, and I don't think the Jets are going to get the first pick. They have too talented of a roster now. They have too talented of a coaching staff to get the first pick, in my opinion. But what do I always say? We never know. I'm very hesitant on, or not hesitant. I have no clue where Shador is going to end up going. Sorry, I'm looking at the sky. I saw something like a fly. I have no clue where Shador is going because I don't know if he's gonna that thing about he's gonna force his way out if a team I don't know if that's true. So I don't know if he'll play for Tennessee, and I don't know if Tennessee wants him. Tennessee's really confusing me because if I was Tennessee's GM, I'm taking Cam Ward with that first pick, and I'm not having a second thought about it personally. Shador's good, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying Shador's going to be a bad NFL player. I just think Cam Ward has a little more experience and a little more accuracy, a little more zip on the ball. But Shador's very good as well and very accurate as well, so this isn't me bashing Shador at all. But if I'm the Titans, I'm taking a quarterback. I'm not even considering Will Levis. And I'm seeing reports that they might just bring in competition and start Will Levis. What are we doing, guys? Are y'all trying to get the first pick again next year and get Brian Callahan fired? Because that's what's going to happen if you stick with Will Levis, I promise. So I don't know if they're going to end up taking Shador or Cam Ward at 1 or if they're going to trade that pick. Or if they're going to just take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. That could be the case as well. Which that would end up shaking a lot of things. So it's going to be interesting for sure. I was going to do a mock draft in this this podcast this week, but this video has ended up going on already. We're almost at 30 minutes, so because of that, I'm just gonna do a mock draft as a separate video later in the week. So stay tuned for that. That will be out probably Wednesday. As I said, I am gonna stream after this, so later on tonight, probably around maybe like 9-ish Eastern time. So stick around, or if you actually do want to watch that, I'll probably be playing Madden or 2K, something like that. But stay tuned for that. And as I said, I will be posting TikToks, and Reels, and just more content on the channel. I know I've been inactive for the last 2 weeks, as I said, but been going through things. But I'm back now, and I'm better than ever. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, do not forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new. This has been RS Sports Talks, and I will see y'all in the next video.